Welcome to episode 4 of Tsuyoku Naritai, the Becoming Stronger podcast. The purpose of this series is to help myself and others become stronger in the art of rationality, to fix problems that stand between us and not sucking at life. Each weekly episode will consist of me walking through a particular technique of rationality, designed for you to follow along. It will follow my progress in a new rationality dojo that we have started here in Kansas City. Unless otherwise stated, you can jump right into whatever episode you happen to have stumbled across, but I do recommend at least listening to episode 1 for the foundation of the course. This particular episode will require you to have listened to all 3 previous episodes: Bug Hunt, Yoda Timers, and Nike Timers. This week, we will learn TAPS, an acronym for Trigger Action Planning. What are TAPS? Well, as the name implies, they are a plan to perform a particular action in response to a particular trigger. They are if this, then that statements. They are meant as a way to intentionally form habits, and specifically solve problems that can be fixed by forming a habit. A TAP consists of 2 things: a trigger and an action. There are 2 requirements for a successful trigger. 1. The trigger is clear. The when part is a specific, visible thing that is easy to notice. For example, when I see stairs is good, but before 4 o'clock is bad. When before 4 exactly? 2. The trigger is consistent. The action is something that you'll always be able to do when the trigger is fulfilled. When I leave the kitchen, I'll do 5 push-ups is bad because you might not have the chance to do 5 push-ups every time you leave the kitchen. As far as the action is concerned, just make sure that the action furthers your goals. Make sure that the tap is actually useful in getting a problem fixed. As my personal example, I combined taps with Nike timers. I created my motivational interviewing sheet about exercising in the morning. Then I taped it to my front door. I then created a tap as follows: when I see the list, I will read the list. The planning phase of your tap should consist of a Yoda timer. Spend 5 minutes crafting it, then another 5 minutes thinking of all the ways it could fail or backfire. For example, I attempted to make a tap for beginning my daily routine. I programmed my phone alarm clock to only dismiss using an NFC chip in my kitchen. The intention was for the tap to be: when I tap my phone to the NFC chip, I will go exercise. However, because I am tired in the morning and I lack the motivation to exercise, I would just go back to bed. Now I have formed a useless habit of: when I tap my phone to the NFC chip, I will go back to bed. The primary reason that this failed is due to a lack of motivation to continue implementing the tap, bolstered by the fact that my brain is simply not at full capacity when it is tired. So unless you know what you are doing, I would avoid implementing early morning actions as part of your tap. When you have created your tap, rehearse it 10 times to reinforce it. For example, 10 times in a row, I wandered around my house doing my usual thing. Then when I spotted my poster on the front door, I stopped and read the poster. Make sure to follow up with your tap every week or 2. Habits die quickly if not stuck to. If you are having difficulty implementing a tap, like I was, use a Yoda timer again to figure out how you can resolve that. And then use a Nike timer to make sure that you are willing to stick to it, which is where I am currently at with my exercising habit. As with all of our techniques, feel free to use it on as many of your bugs as possible, but I do recommend starting with your 5 easiest remaining bugs on your list. If at any point you feel like this is going to be a waste of time for a particular bug, then stop. Move on. You don't want to risk forming a bad habit accidentally like I did. The first tap I recommend starting is this: when you finish listening to this episode, go and start making your taps.